M-Pesa versus Pix. Why one exploded and one grew slow. A SIM card turned into a bank in Kenya. A QR code replaced cash in Brazil. Both changed everything, but one exploded almost overnight, and one had to fight for every single user. This is why. M-Pesa launched in 2007 and spent years trying to convince people it was real. Pix launched in 2020, and within 3 months, 50 million Brazilians had signed up. Within a year, it was processing more transactions than traditional bank transfers. Same idea. Different worlds. Completely different results. So what actually happened? Reason 1. They solved very different problems. M-Pesa came in for people who had nothing. No bank account, no card, no way to store or move money safely. Before anyone could use it, Safaricom had to convince ordinary people that digital money was even a real thing. Why would you trust it? Why not just hide cash under your mattress like you always have? That is a tough sell. You are building belief from absolute zero. Pix walked into a completely different situation. Brazilians already had bank accounts. They already understood money. They just hated waiting 2 to 3 days every time they wanted to send it somewhere. Pix didn't ask anyone to change their thinking or learn anything new. It just said everything you already do, but instant. One had to create a whole new world. The other just had to make the existing world faster. Reason 2. One built roads. The other built a roundabout. M-Pesa had to build everything from nothing. No agents, no merchants, no government rules, no trust. Safaricom hired and trained thousands of people to become money agents, convinced local shops to accept mobile payments, worked with the government to write laws that had never existed before. And after all of that, they still had to look ordinary Kenyans in the eye and say, "Trust us with your money." That takes years. And it did. Pix had a completely different starting point. Brazil already had modern banks with digital systems already running. The government didn't need to build anything new. They just looked at everything that existed and said, "Connect it all, right here, right now." Reason 3. The chicken and egg problem. When M-Pesa launched, it had a painful problem. It was only useful if the people around you were also using it. If your friends weren't on it, your family wasn't on it, your local shop wasn't on it, then why bother? So people waited. And because people waited, other people waited. It grew, but slowly. One person convincing another, one village at a time. Pix never had that problem. From the very first day, every Brazilian with a bank account, which was most of the country, could already receive money through Pix. No waiting, no convincing. You were already connected to millions of people before you even knew what Pix was. And when 50 million people join something in 3 months, you start hearing about it everywhere. Your neighbor mentions it. Your boss uses it at lunch. Your mom sees it on the news. Suddenly you feel left out if you're not on it. M-Pesa had to build that energy from absolute zero. Pix started with a full tank. Reason 4. Timing is everything. M-Pesa launched in 2007. Smartphones barely existed. Most people were still using basic phones just to call and text. Sending money through a phone felt strange, even a little scary. Nobody had done it before. Nobody trusted it yet. M-Pesa showed up to a world that simply wasn't ready. Pix launched in 2020. A completely different planet. People had already spent a decade doing everything on their phones: shopping, banking, paying bills. Then COVID arrived and pushed even the most stubborn people online. Millions had already watched fintech companies around the world prove that digital payments were safe and reliable. So when Pix showed up, nobody needed convincing. The world had spent 13 years getting ready for exactly this moment. M-Pesa was a brilliant idea that arrived too early. Pix arrived right on time. But here is the part most people miss. M-Pesa growing slowly didn't make it less important. It made it more important. It had to fight for every single user, earn every bit of trust, build everything with its bare hands, in a country where most people had never touched a financial system in their lives. And it still worked. Countries all across Africa are now building their own version of M-Pesa. Brazil's neighbors are looking at Pix and doing the same. But M-Pesa's story is bigger than any one country. It didn't just change Kenya, it wrote the playbook for how to bring millions of people, who the world had completely forgotten, into a financial system for the very first time.